Hi, I'm Luce. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going through the top books that I want to read in 2026. So I think most other booktubers and like BookTokers and stuff that I see make these lists every year, which is like the top books that I want to read in the year. Normally I do like 10 to 12 because to me that feels manageable. Like 10 to 12 books, that's like one a month. Easy. For some reason I decided this year to do 26. So I do have 26 books to go through with you that are on my like top priority list for the year. I'm not gonna lie to you, I have them all stacked on the floor next to me and she's looking a little bit intimidating. I feel like I'm being way too optimistic, thinking that there is a chance in hell that I'm gonna read all 26 of these books, but I mean, you never know. I try to curate this list more so than other years to what I actually want to read. Like I feel like normally when I do these lists it's kind of books that I put on there that I think I should be reading, or that, you know, maybe I've been putting off for a while, whatever, and I think, oh, putting it on this list will be the push that I need to finally read it. Never happens that way. I just don't read the fucking book. So this year I very much just put on books that I actually really want to read, that I want to read right now, that I was thinking about throughout last year wanting to pick up as well. So hopefully, even though there's a lot of them, I might actually get to reading these ones. I'm also going to apologize again for the lighting. It is truly so horrible and grey and depressing here in the UK. I had the same issue last video that I filmed, so hopefully this lighting will do. Even if it's not amazing, hopefully it'll do the job. I'm just going to get into the books because I feel like otherwise this video is going to be insanely long because I have 26 books to go through. I'm not going to be giving like in-depth synopsis or anything like that. I'm kind of just going to be giving you a brief idea of what I think the book is about, and if I don't know anything about what the book is about, then just kind of the vibes and why I want to read it. So I also truly haven't ordered these in any way. They are just in a stack. So the first one on top of the pile is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I have only, well actually I was going to say I've only read one Ali Hazelwood book, which is technically true. I've read one Ali Hazelwood book and 2 novellas from her, and I've really enjoyed all 3 of those reading experiences. And I'm the kind of person where even though the books like aren't a series, it's not connected, I like to read books in like chronological order when they were published. So I read The Love Hypothesis first. This is her second published novel, so Love on the Brain is the one I really want to get to. This one I don't really know anything about. I think that the main characters are called Bee and Levi. I also have this Afterlight edition which has no information on it whatsoever, so I don't know. I think it's like workplace enemies to lovers fake dating. I think from what I remember from when this came out, it is very similar to The Love Hypothesis in terms of like plot. And I love The Love Hypothesis, so I'm really hoping that I feel the same about this one. In a complete change of pace, I have Paladin's Strength by T. Kingfisher. This is the sequel to Paladin's Grace, which if you didn't see my last video, which was my best books of 2025, Paladin's Grace did make it on there. And this is the second one. This is like an interconnected standalone series from my understanding. We have like a kind of overarching plot, but each book follows different characters and different couples. This one is following a paladin who is tracking a supernatural killer across a continent, and a nun from a secretive order on the trail for the raiders who burned her covenant and kidnapped her sisters. I love the covers of this series. I think they are absolutely stunning. And I mean, yeah, I really liked Paladin's Race because it felt like a kind of palette cleanser, breath of fresh air compared to what I normally read. So I'm hoping this one will kind of fulfill the same thing. Okay, this third one, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm terrified of this book. I'm absolutely terrified of it, but I do really want to read it, so that's why it's got onto the list. It is, of course, Alchemized by Cinlin Yu. Everyone that I follow has either been reading this book and loving it, but also being completely emotionally destroyed by it, or they are having the same thing as me, where we're avoiding it because it scares us. This, number one, it's huge. Like, this is 1,000 pages, I believe. This Fairy Loot edition is actually just under 1,000 pages, wow. But this, if you have not somehow heard of Alchemized, is the kind of like traditionally published version of Manacled, which is a Hermione fanfiction that was published back on AO3. Is kind of like the most well-known, well-loved Hermione fanfic, to my knowledge. I myself am personally not a Hermione shipper. I've never read Manacled. I think I will at some point. I do have it downloaded on my Kindle. I'm not a Hermione shipper, but I do love a dark, kind of emotionally devastating book. I just have to be in the mood for it. And this one, I don't know if this has a happy ending or not. I can't figure out from people's reactions. So I do really want to read this, and I do think that I'm going to absolutely love this when I do read it. I'm just absolutely terrified. The fourth one is actually a very new book that I picked up. I picked this up in December when I went book shopping with some of my friends. I had seen like the kind of like web version of this book before, but I didn't know it had been traditionally published. When I saw that it was, I had to pick it up immediately. But this is The Beauty's Blade by Mai Ren Jan. This is a Baihe novel, which if you've been on my channel before, then you will have probably heard me talk about Danmei, which is Chinese boys love. This is Chinese girls love. This is sapphic, this is lesbians, and I'm so excited for it because I really, really love the kind of like format of Danmei novels. I've read quite a few of them. There are a couple more on my list coming up. So I'm really excited to kind of take that format that I really like and apply it to the women. And this one I don't really know too much about other than it is rivals to lovers. And one of the things that I have always loved about these kind of books, Danmei, Baihe books, is the illustrations that you get in it. And I love the art style for this particular one. Let me find one more to show you. So I mean, yeah. I'm really excited about this. I don't think that there's any more volumes published currently. I think I just have the first one right now, but I'm really hoping that I'm going to love this, and then the next couple volumes are going to be available for me to pick up this year. This one I think is like the first of a couple of like the really big, really hyped kind of book talk romantasy is kind of what I'd call them. And this is Metal Singer by Rachel Schneider. I have heard so much about this book, both good things and bad things, I feel like, in equal balance with this one, but the main thing I've heard is the ending of this book is absolutely wild, and I really want to read it. And book 2 is not out yet, but I believe coming out very soon. I have the Fairy Loot edition pre-ordered, even though I haven't read this one. I have a feeling that I'm gonna love it. And genuinely, like, I'm looking at the synopsis, I don't know what this book is about at all. The only thing that I'm gonna kind of like really look at and read you is like the kind of end of the little synopsis, which says, "It is full of seafaring, adventure, knife fights, witty banter, and slow burn tension." That's kind of all I need to know. I'm someone with romantasy where I don't necessarily need my romantasy books to like remake the wheel. I don't need them to be like the, you know, the most unique, crazy new thing. As long as it is done well, I don't really care how quote unquote generic it might seem. This one could be like a really generic romantasy, but if it's done well and the ending kind of has me in the chokehold that it did with everyone else, then I just think I'm gonna really enjoy it. I'm realizing as I pick these up, I truly have there is no order whatsoever, because I've gone from like historic sapphical Chinese romance to romantasy to horror we're going to now. I have Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. This was a book that came out last year and was actually one of my most anticipated releases for 2025. I just never got around to reading it, so I'm determined for this year to be the year that I finally do read it. I mean, it's really short. It's, I think, under 300 pages, and horror is the kind of genre that I do generally tend to fly through. I think this is going to be the kind of horror spooky book that I really do end up enjoying. Going back to romantasy, and I believe this is the first one that I have in my pile that is a series continuation, not like a standalone or a new book in a series, but it is Lady of Ashes by Melissa K. Roerich. This is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition that I literally got yesterday, but this is the third book in the Lady of Darkness series. I read books 1 and 2 both last year and actually really enjoyed them. I wasn't sure really how I was going to feel about this because the way that it has been kind of described to me is that this series is basically a mashup of all of Sarah J Maas's books. And I mean, listen, I do like a Sarah J Maas book. And like I said with Metal Singer, I don't need my romantasy to be like the most unique, crazy new thing, as long as it is executed well. And in my opinion, I think the first 2 books were done really well. I was really enjoying them, especially book 2. Book 2 I was like really into. So I kind of want to keep the momentum going and pick up book 3. The very basic premise is it follows our main character, who is a kind of retired assassin. She's tried to leave that life behind. She ends up getting pulled back in when the assassin lord tells her that he has information about the fire prince who ended up killing her mother. And it kind of goes from there. There's obviously a romance, and yeah, I just had a really fun time, and I have a feeling that I'm going to like each book in this series more as we go on. Back to my sapphic romance, I have Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is the kind of companion sequel to Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which was one of my favorite books from 2024, actually. So I really should have read this one by now. Last year, I just really was not in a contemporary romance mood. And because I think I'm gonna love this one so much, I was like putting it off. I am finally back in a contemporary romance mood, so I think it is the perfect time to pick this one up. I'm really excited to see what Ashley Herring Blake does with this one because of how much I love Delilah Green. This one is actually the last book in a series. Reading this will finish out a trilogy that I have absolutely loved. I have A Power Unbound by Freya Marske. This is the, like I said, the third book in the, what is it called? I don't know what the series is called. The first one is A Marvelous Light, and I read the second book, A Restless Truth, last year. I loved books 1 and 2. I gave them both 5 stars. This is a kind of historical, magical, paranormal series. It is also very queer. The first one is an MM, the second one is FF, and this one is also MM. I just really like the way that Freya Marske has built this world. I really like the historical setting. I love the magic. Truly, I don't know how to describe this series because it has been a long time since I read the first book, but from my memory of the first book, I'm following a group of people who are looking for these magical artifacts, and it kind of takes them across different places. And the two main characters, the two men that we are following in this one, we met in book 2, and I really liked them both as individual characters, but I loved their like banter in book 2, so I'm so excited to see their actual romance in book 3, and also just get a conclusion to the plot, of course, because I do really like the plot as well as the romance. This one I think is the most kind of out of my comfort zone book that is on my list. This is like the only one that I would say fits into like the theme that I've done previously, where like I'm gonna put this book on the list because it's out of my comfort zone, it'll push me to finally read it, but I do fully believe that I am actually going to get to this one. But this is The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. This is a non-fiction, which I do not read non-fiction ever. I've heard in general really phenomenal things about Bell Hooks. From what I've seen about it, this is going to be a lot about feminism. I think it's just going to be a really interesting book. I'm interested to pick up her other books as well if I like this one. Okay, I have another book here that does scare me a little bit, but I'm also very excited to read. This is Sweet Wicked Things by Jessie Walker. Jessie Walker is one of my favorite kind of darker romance authors. My favorite books of 2025, I had Little Bird Lost by them on it, and in my favorite books of 2024, I had If There's a Way. So yeah, an author that I absolutely love. This one is separate to the series that those two books are from. This one is, I believe, the first book in a new duology, and I think it is following Step Brothers. Yeah, his foster brother. That's kind of all I know about it. I think that this is set in like a boarding school, maybe, because I'm seeing the words Grady Preparatory Academy. I don't know. I will read anything that Jessie Walker puts out. The next book is one that I low-key am a little bit ashamed that I haven't read yet. We have The Hemlock Queen by Hannah Witton. This is the sequel to The Foxglove King, which is a romantic book that I rated 5 stars. I'm actually rereading it currently in anticipation for finally carrying on with this series. I loved The Foxglove King. I am loving it on reread. I'm having such a good time with it. So the fact that I still have not read book 2, and I mean I have book 3 now on my shelves as well, so the fact that I haven't continued on yet is, I think, a crime. It's, like I said, is a romantic series, and it follows our main character Law, who has the ability to kind of manipulate death energy, and she ends up getting kind of dragged into the palace and the politics of that, and also entangled with a royal prince and a kind of holy man, not quite a priest, but like a holy man in the palace as well. It's like a really interesting one for me because it doesn't feel unique in terms of the plot and like the setup, but something about just reading it feels really fresh and really different than a lot of other romances I've read. So I'm absolutely dying to continue on with the series because I think that it's probably going to be a new all-time favorite for me. The next one is another sequel to a series that I started last year. I have Throne of Broken Gods by Amber V. Nicole. This is the sequel to the Book of Azrael, which I gave that book, I think, 4.5 stars last year. I really enjoyed it, but these books are long, and for as much as I enjoyed book 1, I struggled to get through because that makes it sound like I didn't enjoy it, but like it took me a lot longer to get through than it normally would for a book of that size, if that makes sense. So I have been putting this off a little bit, even though I know I'm gonna love it. I've been putting it off a little bit just because I know it's going to take a lot of like time and effort to read. I have one of my favorite FMCs of any romantic book I've ever read in Diana. She is a really morally grey, true, like badass FMC, and I love her. And then our MMC Sam Keel, I do really like him. I think he is very sweet. I think he's very lovely. But Diana truly steals the show for me. She is like the main thing that I was focusing on when I was reading the book. And if I'm being so real and vulnerable, I don't really remember book 1 that well. I remember like bits and pieces of it, but I don't really remember the general plot, so I don't feel like I can give you a synopsis. I'm definitely gonna have to do a recap somewhere, find someone's recap of book 1 before I jump into this one. This is the other last book in a series that I have to read, and it is one of my favorite series. I have Nightfall by Penelope Douglas. This is the 4th and final book in the Devil's Night series. I have truly really enjoyed the Devil's Night series. I know a lot of people that I have seen who read this book, especially on like Book Talk, don't like books 1 and 2 and then really like books 3 and 4. I really loved books 1 and 2. Like, honestly, book 3, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed. It's not my favorite in the series. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 that I've read. And I know that that's a really controversial opinion for like the online book space, but I loved books 1 and 2. But this one I'm so excited about because this one follows Will, who has been, I think, consistently my favorite of the kind of MMCs throughout the series. So I'm so excited for him to get his love story. But this one is really thick. I've read quite a few Penelope Douglas books at this point. I read 3 books in this series. I read Tristic's Venom and I read Birthday Girl. So I know that I really like their books, and I also know to trust that if it's really long, it's still going to be really enjoyable. But the size, I won't lie, has been putting me off from finishing this series. But it's also been really annoying me that I have read all the other books and not this one. This one I think is probably actually the most rogue pick that I have on here. This is a book that I genuinely don't think I know anything about. I have The Starless Crown by James Rollins. This is a book that I picked up last year when I was book shopping with my cousin, actually. Essentially, the kind of like story of this book is I had seen this book in so many bookstores for like years. Like anytime I had gone book shopping with my cousin when he'd come to visit, I had seen this book and I'd never picked it up because I was like, I've never really heard about it. I don't know too much about it. I cracked this year and I decided to finally pick it up. It's also like a gorgeous floppy paperback. Obsessed with the format of this. But yeah, I really don't know much about this one. Oh, it does have illustrations in it though, which I did not know. I have just been in a mood, you'll see this also with actually the next book in my stack, but I've been in the mood to read more like epic fantasy again. I could be wrong, but I don't think I read a single adult epic fantasy last year in 2025. And considering that is one of my favorite genres, something I felt like I really needed to fix. And this one, I don't know, it's just been calling to me. I'll read you from the synopsis. It says, it's an interesting blend of science and magic, flying ships and prophetic gods. And apparently that propels this fantasy into epic territories. I truly don't know. I did look it up on Goodreads. It does have like a pretty good kind of average rating. It does seem like people do enjoy this one. But yeah, I'm going into this pretty blind and kind of just hoping for the best. And then the other like epic fantasy that I have actually started reading. I am currently about halfway through it when I am filming this video currently. But it is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. This has been on my shelves for years. I think like 3 or 4 years maybe. I bought it because I was interested in it and then just got sidetracked with other things and never ended up picking it up. I picked it up at the start of this year and I am obsessed with this book. Like, I'm actually obsessed with it. I think like 300 pages into it right now of this like 700 page book. Obsessed with it, cannot stop thinking about it. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but like I think this is probably going to be a 5-star, one of my favorite fantasy books that I have read in a very long time. Adult fantasy I really struggle to give a synopsis of because I feel like there's like normally so much going on. But we are following a main character who is, at the start of the book, he's in prison. There is this monster that is talking to him and she's telling him to tell his story. And so he starts telling his story. And then she kind of interrupts him and goes, no, that's not where your story starts. Here's where your story starts. And so each chapter is alternating between Kieran's own kind of retelling of his past and then the monster's retelling of his past. I'm just so hooked. I really like the tone of this book. Like, it is definitely more kind of like light-hearted in the writing style, not in the content. The content is actually pretty dark in a lot of ways, but I really like the contrast of like the dark kind of depressing stuff that is happening with the kind of levity of like Kieran's inner monologue. I don't know, I just really like it. There's just something so insanely compelling about this for me. I kind of feel like I'm going to just end up binging this whole series. It is a 5-book series. It is complete. I think I'm just going to end up reading all 5 of them back to back this year. Heading back into romantasy, I have Warrior, Princess, Assassin, yes, by Brigid Kemmerer. This one is another beautiful fairy loot edition, and this is one that when I received it originally, was not like super hyped about because I haven't read any Brigid Kemmerer books before, but her YA has just never appealed to me. It's just never been that interesting to me, and this is her first adult romantasy kind of debut. Then I found out that this is like throuple poly, and I was really intrigued all of a sudden again. I thought this was going to be love triangle. It is not, it is poly. And I believe we are following a warrior, a princess, and an assassin. And I think, again, I can't be bothered to look into the synopsis of all of these, so I'm kind of just going off of my memory, but I think that our FMC is kind of betrothed to marry this warrior from another kingdom, but she's in love with an assassin from her kingdom who's maybe like her childhood friend or something. And then they somehow end up in a throuple. That's kind of all I needed to know. Also, cover absolutely stunning, beautiful fairy loot. I think this is gonna be a really good time, and I've heard really good things about it actually since it's come out. And then another Dramione one, I have Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I'm not a Dramione shipper. I do not like J.K. Rowling, do not support her whatsoever. But these books are so interesting to me. And I believe is quite a dark one as well. Kind of like with Alchemized, like gonna be like your kind of like fun, light-hearted romance. This one, our FMC is sold to a powerful family, and somehow that's gonna develop into a romance. Just, I don't know, I'm really intrigued about it. Maybe again, the cover helps because I think it's stunning. But I do just really love a dark, fucked up romantasy from time to time, and I do think this one is gonna deliver. Okay, we only have a couple more. We are getting there. Next we have Soul Eater by Lily Mayne. This is the really beautiful Smut and Sip edition. This is a book that I have had on my Kindle, downloaded from Kindle Unlimited, for so long. Like, I think I've had this book out from KU for like 2 years, and I haven't read it yet. So this kind of beautiful special edition that I got was kind of the push to really make me want to read it. But this one is I believe it is a dystopian kind of military fantasy. Like, I read the first chapter of this, and if I remember correctly, one of our MMCs is in the military, and then the other one is a demon. So it's kind of like, it's dystopian monster romance. And I know a lot of people within the kind of like community and the monster romance community rave about this series. Also, I mean, like, if the demon looks like this, then I'm in. This one is I believe, my last contemporary romance, but I have Salt Kiss by Sierra Simone. I have read one other book by Sierra Simone. I believe it is American Queen that I have read by Sierra Simone before, and I did really enjoy that series. I do need to go back to it at some point, but this one was a gift that I got for Christmas. I got a kind of like bundle of this one and the second book, and it's just, I'm really intrigued about it. This one is another throuple poly situation, and it says, falling in love with a husband and his wife, torture. I believe it is a bodyguard who ends up, I believe the guy who ends up falling in love with the husband and wife is a bodyguard for them. And I don't know where it's going to go from there, but from what I have read myself of Sierra Simone and from what I have heard of her books, this is going to be really smutty, it's going to be really spicy, and it's going to be just a really good time. Let's talk about one of the 2 Danmei series I have. So I have Heaven Official's Blessing by Mojang Tongju. If you watch any of my videos from last year, then you will probably have heard me talk about this series. This is one of my favorite series. I read, I think 6 volumes? No, not 6. I think I read 5 volumes of this last year. Absolutely loved it. I have 2 more to go until it is finished, and so this is the year that I'm finally going to finish it. Like I said, this is a Danmei, a Chinese boys love, about a god and a ghost king, and I love it. If you want a series with like generational yearning, I do mean that literally, like generational yearning. Have never met a man that yearns as much as this man right here, with also some like really interesting kind of like heavenly politics and like fantasy plot. This series is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm really excited to finish it out, but I'm also going to be really sad when it's done. And again, we have illustrations in this one. And then actually, while I'm talking about Danmei, let's just do the other one. I have Case File Compendium Volume 2 by I can never pronounce this author's name properly because my English will just butcher it, but Meat Bun is what this author is kind of colloquially known as. This one is a very different kind of Danmei series to Heaven Official's Blessing. This one is modern day, and we are following two men, one who is a college student and one who is a professor, I believe he is. And our college student is, well, he thinks that he's in love with the professor's sister, and obviously they're going to end up together. This one is much spicier than Heaven Official's Blessing. Heaven Official's Blessing is very wholesome is not quite the right word, but it doesn't have like, it's not like crazy spicy. This author, from what I have heard from this series and her other series, is gonna get into the kind of like spicy kinky territory, which I'm very intrigued about. Yeah, it's a completely different vibe, but like what I was saying when I was talking about the Bai He novel, I love the way that these books kind of read and the way they're formatted because they were originally web novels. They just have a very specific kind of like style and rhythm to them that I really enjoy and I find really quick and easy to read. And again, we have, of course, illustrations throughout this one. Okay, final three books, and these are all romantasy books. So the first one I have is Psycho Shifters by Jasmine Maas. I tried to read this book last year and I did DNF it. Not because I thought it was bad, but because I just wasn't in the mood for it. This was very like silly, goofy feeling and it just wasn't what I was in the mood for. But my bestie Caitlin has read the first 2-3 books I think in this series last year. Really enjoyed them. I don't know, I just feel like this might be a really nice kind of change of pace romantasy for me, considering a lot of the ones that I like to read generally are quite dark. I think this one will be really fun. And again, I really love the covers of these ones. If I do DNF it a second time, I think I'm just gonna be done with this series, but yeah, I really do want to try giving it another go. I think I've left like the most hyped books to last actually on this list. But the first one I have is The Wolf King by, I don't know how to say her last name, Lauren Palfreman, I think is maybe how you pronounce it. I'm actually just going to talk about both of these together because they kind of like give the same things. I have The Wolf King and I have Diabound by Sable Sorensen. These two were so hyped last year. They've also both been like traditionally published. They're both indie. I believe these are both wolf shifter romances, maybe? That's kind of all I know, and I just know that everyone loves them. All the girlies that I follow really enjoy these series, and so I want to read what everyone else is reading. I want to be like other girls and love what everyone else is loving. So yeah, these two, they had to be on the list. Okay, we are finally done with all of the books that I want to read throughout 2026. Do I think that I'm going to read these books? Maybe I'm delusional in saying that I actually think there is a very high chance that I will get through all 26 of these, but listen, someone has to believe in me, and I guess today it's going to be me. There are also a couple of these books that I really want to do vlogs for. I really want to do a kind of vlog for like reading the hyped romantasy books on my list, like for example The Wolf King. So hopefully I can get some content out of reading these as well. But if you did make it to the end of this video, thank you so much. Please feel free to give this video a like if you liked it, subscribe if you feel like it, and hopefully I will see you in a new video again soon. Bye!